Hello everyone. Here we saw about an ecological pyramid. It is basically a graphical representation that tells us the feeding patterns of organisms in different ecosystems. Yes, here now I can figure out that this graphical representation has to be in the shape of a pyramid. Here we saw 4 or 5 types of bar. Yeah, each bar of the pyramid it represents a different trophic level which is based on who eats whom and how the energy flows are transferred from one organism to another. In an ecological pyramid, we have decomposers, producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Okay, we saw about an ecological pyramid. Now, at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the decomposers, and on the top of the bar, we have producers as primary producers or autotrophs. As we know, these are basically contains plants, trees, and flowers. Okay, next at the top of the bar, we have the primary consumers. These are herbivorous animals. Yes, here this goat, cow or eat these plant as a food. Now on the top of this bar we have the secondary consumers which feed on the primary consumers. It consists of carnivorous animals like a fox, snake, etc. Next, like this, the bar of this pyramid continues to rise as long as there is an organism that eats another organism. And tertiary consumers, which is apex predators, it capable of feeding on secondary consumers and primary consumers. These consumers can be either fully carnivorous or omnivorous. Lions, large fishes, sharks, and humans are also an example of a tertiary consumer. Okay, now an ecological pyramid is classified as 3 types as pyramid of energy and pyramid of number and then pyramid of biomass. Now first I can explain about the pyramid of energy. This type of pyramid describes the overall flow of the energy between one organism to another. Like we say, there is a considerable loss of energy in the form of heat. Okay, here at the bottom of the pyramid we have plant as a producers. All these primary producers need sunlight as the primary source of energy. So the amount of energy available to the primary producers is a lot. Okay, as we know, the primary producers get their energy directly from the sun. Let's say here it is 10,000 kilocalories of energy is available with the producers. Then we know the primary consumers feed on the primary producers. Here this deer is herbivorous animal during the flow of energy from primary producers to primary consumers. There is a substantial loss of energy in the form of heat. So now the primary consumers are left with 1000 kilocalories of energy. Likewise, there are secondary consumers that feed on the primary consumers. Again, there is a transfer of energy from primary consumers to secondary consumers. So here also there is a successive loss of energy. These wolf secondary consumers are left with 100 kilocalories of energy. And the next, these tertiary consumers also follow the same way and have 10 kilocalories of energy. So if you look at this energy pyramid, it is always upright and vertical. As we say, the energy is minimum at the highest trophic level and the energy is maximum at the lowest trophic level. Now, pyramid of number. Here what actually is number is the number of organisms in each trophic level. In this pyramid, the most abundant organism occupies the base and the least abundant organism occupies the apex of this pyramid. Here I take the lake ecosystem. Here the producers phytoplankton occupies the base of the pyramid as their most abundant numbers. The second trophic level zooplanktons, which is comparatively less in number. The third level is occupied by small fishes or the secondary consumers, and finally the apex of the pyramid is occupied by the larger size of fish which are lesser in number. But this is not always the case. The pyramid of numbers is not always upright. Basically, when we look at the pyramid of numbers, what we see is a pyramid is where the bottom level has a maximum number of individuals in the form of producers. The producers support comparatively fewer number of herbivorous animals. Likewise, this support a fewer number of secondary consumers and so on. Here we have the tertiary consumer is lion. Here the size doesn't matter, but the population or the number is usually less. Okay, now the third type of pyramid of biomass. Biomass means the total quantity of organisms in a given area or volume. Usually this type of pyramid is largest at the bottom and gets smaller going up. Here the total biomass of grass eaten by a herbivore is more as compared to the amount of flesh eaten by the secondary consumer when eats that herbivore. It indicates the pyramid of biomass is upright. It gradually reduces with each trophic level. Here we take example of marine ecosystem. The large size fishes depends on tiny size fishes and tiny size of zooplanktons, which in turn depends on much tiny of phytoplanktons. This showing an inverted pyramid of biomass. Now almost I can finish. Yes, I explained about an ecological pyramid and its types. The most important thing to remember about an ecological pyramid is that the amount of energy decreases as you move up the pyramid. This is because not all of the energy that is used by an organism is passed along to the next organism in the food chain. Okay, now I close my session and thank you all.